Hi, Danny.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. It was very nice training with you yesterday.
It was, do you know what? It was an absolute thing of beauty. My arms are killing me today.
Yeah, my
Killing
triceps are very sore. Very,
in a
very
nice
sore.
way.
In a nice way. You said something to me yesterday in the gym, Danny.
Did I, my friend? I say
Yes.
lots of things to you on a daily basis.
Well, this particular thing
Yeah.
was of note and interesting to me.
Okay.
You said as a personal trainer, you prefer working with women than you do
Yeah.
to working with men.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that then?
Do you know what? Men are quite boring to work with. Women are incredibly interesting. The female physiology compared to the male physiology, it's so diverse, it's so different that literally every single woman that you work with, they have a different story, they have different feelings, different emotions, the situations are different. It's just it's a very interesting and a very enlightening and a very, as cheesy as it sounds, it's much more rewarding working with ladies, helping ladies change their lives than it is with fellas.
And then that's interesting to me, but particularly what you said physiologically, that you, when you're working as a personal trainer for women, you have to take into account menstrual cycles.
Yes.
And then what goes on hormonally in terms of like water retention and cravings. Could you explain to the viewers what you explained to me yesterday?
So if we take men and we take women, if we were to look under a microscope at male muscle tissue and female muscle tissue, virtually the same. If we look at the origins and insertions, where the muscles are placed on the body, virtually the same. The big, massive, huge difference between men and women is the menstrual cycle. Now, it's possibly going to be something quite new to you that a man is talking about the menstrual cycle, but it's that massively important that it kind of has to be addressed. And if you think that you can just kind of go to your local personal trainer and your local personal trainer can just initiate beast mode, probably not going to kind of get you where you want to be. With the menstrual cycle, if we just kind of briefly kind of give you like a little overview of the menstrual cycle. So the menstrual cycle is basically, it's around 28 days. It's a cyclical thing which all women go through, whereas hormones are crisscrossing around. With these hormones, when they crisscross around, we have different states of fuel utilization. We have different cravings, like you've just said. We have different levels of water retention. So in the first 2 weeks, give or take, it's there's no two menstrual cycles are exactly the same. Even in the same woman, she might have 1 month, it might be a 26-day menstrual cycle. The next month, it might be a 32. No one's ever bang on every single time. So for the first couple of weeks, roughly the first half of the menstrual cycle, when estrogen and progesterone are fairly low, estrogen starts to rise. And I've just realized my hand is going off the camera. So estrogen starts to rise, progesterone fairly flat at this point. Whilst estrogen is the predominant hormone, the body is in a slightly kind of different position. Estrogen gets a real bad name. It gets blamed for a lot of things, and it kind of couldn't really be further from the truth. Estrogen is it's gonna kind of slightly help you burn fat. I don't like using the term burn fat, but for simplicity, it is gonna help you. What in the presence of estrogen, insulin resistance is pretty low. So during these first couple of weeks, we kind of, we can kind of favor pushing carbohydrates that little tiny bit high. Estrogen, it's mildly anabolic, so it's going to kind of help you build a little bit of muscle. It's also, interestingly enough, it lessens your reactions to stress, which is why if we kind of look at the second half, the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle, as we kind of move towards mid to late luteal, that's when progesterone is high, estrogen is low. Because estrogen is low, progesterone is high, they do the opposite of each other, which is why Stress levels are particularly high as we kind of come. You get affected by things that kind of wouldn't normally affect you, and you're like, why? What, why has that done that? It's because estrogen is calmed down. Progesterone is the dominant hormone, so you get your reactions to stress are kind of not as kind of as good as they would be. You are more insulin resistant, which means that your body's ability to handle carbohydrates, to utilize the fuel that we give it, is lessened, which is why for the luteal part, we tend to, not a ketogenic diet, but we tend to favor raising fats ever so slightly and bringing.
Sorry, mate. In this pre-menstrual phase, the 2 weeks, that's called the luteal phase, is it?
It's not premenstrual because the menstrual cycle is the entire thing.
Oh, okay.
So the end of the menstrual cycle, the last 2 weeks, is called the luteal phase.
Luteal phase, and in this phase, progesterone goes higher.
Progesterone rises as estrogen comes down,
and resilience to stress diminishes.
Mm-hmm.
So I should probably know about this with a mainly female audience working on emotional flashbacks. So if they're in a physiologically different state, they're going to respond to stress differently.
Hormonally, it's completely different, yeah.
And for you training, you advocate putting more fat in the macros during that higher stress.
Yes, during the luteal phase, the body does not handle carbohydrates particularly well. Okay. So, which interestingly enough is the time when cravings are incredibly high. Right. So during this time where the body doesn't really kind of handle carbohydrates as well as it does earlier on in the menstrual cycle, this is when the cravings appear. This is when generally people want high palatable foods, high sugar, high fat, comfort foods, chocolate, that kind of thing. So during this period, interestingly enough, your resting metabolic rate will ever so slightly raise by 100 to 300, it's very person dependent, depending on that, 100 to 300 calories. Per day, yeah.
That's huge.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's quite a good time if you can nail the energy deficit. It's a good time to make kind of use of this little boost. So however, as this is the time when everyone, the cravings are generally higher, people tend to kind of consume 500 or 600 calories a day extra.
You smash a pizza, kind of cancelled it all out. You're getting a lot more than your little 100 calorie allowance.
Yeah.
But it is the fact that it's so much shows you how powerful just the hormonal changes.
Absolutely, mate.
I'm saying it's huge because resting metabolic rate for most lads you work with, I guess, is probably like mine, about 2000, is it?
It's how long's a piece of string? Yeah, personally, at the moment, mine is around the 2000 mark. We're similar. So my RMR is around the 2000. So it can go anything from, I think the average is about 5%. It's from like 3% to 10% or something. It elevates. But
okay,
you know what? In actually, some women, I've worked with women in the past who show no signs whatsoever at all. They're just kind of straight all the way through. And other women are literally textbook. Weight goes through the roof. Emotions are everywhere. And then 2 days later, they're going, "So sorry about that. I don't really know what happened."
So the exact same stress stimulus doesn't give the same response. Yeah. Sorry, you just said something there that actually summed up the whole calorie thing. It's a 5 to 10% increase in resting metabolic rate.
Between 3 and 9-10%. So it's like an average of about your RMR will raise by around 5%.
That's large.
It's big enough to. Yeah. It's big enough that we can utilize this as a little added extra kind of turbo boost. It sounds ridiculous. That we can use when we're kind of looking at kind of burning that little tiny bit more fat, if we can get a grip of the cravings, the chocolate and the pizza, which is incredibly difficult for most women that I speak to.
So when you're in this the luteal phase sounds important. you say, okay, move your macros up higher on fats, give you a little bit more of a calorie allowance per day.
Yeah.
Do you alter the training? Do you say, okay, we're going to do more cardio, more resistance, or do you keep it the same?
It's very person dependent. However, as a general rule, for the first 2 to 3 weeks of your cycle, so from day one of your cycle is when you start to menstruate, for about 2 to 3 weeks, that's when estrogen is high. So you handle stress. Your whole body handles stress just that little tiny bit better, which means as we move towards the end of the menstrual cycle, late luteal phase, that's when ideally we can pull intensity back of training. We can kind of reduce training volume.
Okay.
That is the time where I kind of encourage people to kind of, look after yourself, have a little bit of me time,
Okay.
instead of
self-care.
hashtag self-care. So instead of trying to smash it out in the gym, go for a walk, do something which is kind of relaxing.
Okay. That's
something that's kind of, you're not going to expose yourself to too much stress.
So then you would know better than me. Do women who are like figure athletes or powerlifters, when they get to the end of this luteal phase, do they just put in like a deload, a monthly?
Yes, can do. Again, some women, it doesn't affect them.
Okay.
Fortunately, quite a lot of physique athletes, they don't have a menstrual cycle whatsoever because their body, they've become that lean.
Yeah.
They don't have what we call the energy availability for the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle uses about 30,000 calories a year. So it's a non-essential, although it's essential for the human race. As a system in the body, it's not essential. It's not cardiovascular. It's not respiratory. So Wait a second. You can't just say something like that and then just bounce over it. Are you telling me that through nothing other than having a period, every year 30,000 calories are burned? 30,000 calories a year, roughly across the year. The menstrual cycle uses 30,000 calories.
So it's an energy depleting process.
It's an energy dependent system in the body.
Huh.
In female athletes, it's called REDS, relative energy deficiency in sport. But actually, hormonally, it's moving across kind of into male athletes as well. But from a kind of physiological point of view, I know loads of physique athletes who get themselves into that lean. They lose that much body fat. They expend that much energy in the gym that their body goes, no more menstrual cycle. And it's incredibly tough to kind of get it back.
Well, if so, forgive my ignorance, would that mean that they could not conceive at that point if they're extremely
at that point? Yeah, if you don't have a menstrual cycle, the menstrual cycle is based around ovulation. It's based around in the follicular phase.
I'm really 42 and I'm having this explained to me by my mate Danny. Danny, where do babies come from?
Storks.
Okay, thank you.
Storks. They carry them in nappies in their thing, and that's where they come from. Okay.
I'll tell you the big boy stuff later. If female athletes were super lean, they put themselves into a state where their bodies wouldn't be able to conceive. I didn't. I've never.
Because they don't. No, because the menstrual cycle is energy dependent and non-essential for life, as in the person's life. It's not your cardiovascular system. It's not your respiratory system. It's not your central nervous system. If you don't have enough energy available after your training, after the energy expend during training, after the energy you expend living, if it's not got the energy to do it, then it won't do it. So it just goes bi-menstrual cycle, and it takes a long time for it to come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, I met Danny 20 years ago in a kickboxing class run by Gary Tandland in Birkenhead. And then we worked on the door together in a place called the Living Room on Victoria Street, Liverpool. And now 20 years later, he's explaining to me how the menstrual cycle works and how it affects training and nutrition. But this is when you were telling me yesterday, I was like, I'm getting a lot of information here that I probably should know, because it is relevant to the work I'm doing as well. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
You know, because you've worked with a lot of the people that follow my stuff, so you're working with clients. Still do with clients who have. So whilst you're not CPTSD, you're not a CPTSD person, you're familiar with the issues that they go through. This would mean, probably some accounting on my part for this monthly, you're saying the tail end of the luteal phase is somebody with CPTSD is going to be particularly vulnerable to emotional flashbacks.
Mid to, obviously it's incredibly person dependent, but if we were to kind of wanting to pigeonhole it and give someone the absolute best chance, this is what happens then, this is what happens then, let's reduce this here and increase this here to kind of, to give you, if you can give yourself 5 or 10% better chance of achieving your goals by manipulating certain things around certain times of the menstrual cycle, then you're onto a winner, really.
It's an interesting coincidence that came up when we were chatting yesterday in the gym, because the night before I'd done a Q&A and somebody mentioned about food and dieting and New Year's resolutions and all that. And I was saying, well, really it's about how you communicate with yourself and your own personal relationship with yourself. As we've discussed many times, it's extremely intimate, isn't it? Like how you eat, how you comfort yourself, what food you put in your mouth. So intimate. But this is like there is a psychological element to what you do with people, isn't there? Because you have to convince them to alter this extremely intimate thing that they're doing.
Yeah. See, the thing with food governs so many kind of social situations, so many relationships, so many emotions. We need food. It's the centerpiece of our lives, basically. So yes, we absolutely know categorically that a calorie deficit is required. However, it's when you work with real people in real situations, non-athletic populations, mums, dads, people with kids. Me, I've got 2 little boys, so sometimes it's not an option to just eat chicken and rice. If you're going out for a meal, you don't want to go put your hand up and go, I can't, I'm on a diet.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of.
I do, Danny. I don't give a fuck. I just do it.
Me. I tend to find as soon as you tell someone you're on a diet, this is quite sad, really. As soon as you say to people that you are on a diet or you are trying to improve your nutrition, they will start to go, have a donut. Go on. And it's almost like, because you have decided that you are not happy with your current situation, they are jealous of the fact that you have kind of stood up and gone, right, something needs to change here. So they're kind of pushing their guilt almost, or their insecurities, and they're wanting you to fail, which is a lot of the times I say to people, don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone.
Just do what you do.
Like
and then
a tribal instinct to keep from leaving.
And then in 2 months' time, when they go, what's different about you? And you can go, oh yeah, well, I've changed a few things, and I've lost 2 or 3 stone. I didn't know you're on a diet. Yeah, I kept it to myself, and here I am.
So is your advice usually for people to just not say anything?
As soon as you make an issue of it, it is an issue. If you just go, right, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I am going to talk to Danny, and we are going to arrange an energy intake, an energy allowance for the day, and I'm just going to go, right, quietly stick to it. I'm quietly going to increase my protein. I'm quietly going to increase my fruit and veg, increase my water intake. I'm not going to make a big thing of it. I'm not going to have a diet shaker on my desk, and I'm not going to have a t-shirt on going, I'm dieting. Keep it to yourself, keep it under the radar. And that's, in my experience, that's the best thing. You'll get people on social media posting, I'm hungry and I'm this. You're just inviting people to push you and to pressure you and to try and make you fail, which is sad, I think.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to do that.
No.
Well, I've enjoyed mansplaining this, especially me and you doing it, because
mansplaining.
That's what people are going to say. They'll be like, this is mansplaining.
Yeah.
It's really like, I just found it fascinating what you were telling me about the cycle.
It is, and that's why I enjoy working with women so much more than men. It's so diverse. It's so different to male physiology and female physiology.
Yeah.
It's like most days I'll get clients messaging me, or I'll get people going, oh my God, I can't believe I've been doing this, or I can't believe this has happened. And it's, you know, it's just, it's nice.
You enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do you ever get people asking you for psychological advice?
Yes.
Do you like that?
Not really.
Where can people contact you if they want to get some? Because you do online coaching as well, right?
Yes, I do. I primarily work with females, funnily enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I will put a link down below.
I'll do it. I'll put a link down.
Yeah.
Is it actually a website or an email that they're going to go to?
Email.
Email. Okay. And you have a Facebook page that they can follow as well. Yeah. Sorry, last question. Did you?
No, listen, don't ever apologize to me.
Okay, I won't. Did you set out to work with women, or did it just go this way? Because for me, it's just gone this way. Yeah. This is just the way the whole project has developed.
Absolutely, yeah. I did not get into this game to get into this business to work primarily with women. As the more kind of experience I've got, as the more skin in the game as I've got, it's just kind of developed down that pathway. And it just so happens that it's gone down that pathway, and it's lit something in my brain that's made me go, oh, I really enjoy doing this. I genuinely like helping these people.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it wasn't planned. It wasn't like I didn't go, I'm going to be a female specialist and I'm going to do this other. It just happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting subject. I'm really I'm impressed by this thing of knowing that it creates such a calorie deficit, because then we can objectively say, look, that's a thing that's happening in somebody's body that's intense, that changes everything, and this is the impact, and that's fascinating. So thank you very much for that.
No problem. I'm always happy to talk to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and your attention. Danny Wilson is available for coaching now. Just go to the more information bar, and you'll see his email there, and he'll work with you online. He's a great trainer. I highly recommend him. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
See ya.